Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes a todas y a todos. Alguien a quien todos conocemos y reconocemos, una de las especialistas en temas de desigualdad, pobreza y en general de desarrollo más importantes, no solo de México y el continente, sino a nivel mundial, es Nora Lustig. Nora Lustig es alguien que realmente no requiere presentación, todos sabemos quién es ella. Sin embargo, como es para mí un gran honor, un privilegio y un gusto presentarla, voy a hacer una muy breve presentación de ella. Voy para acá para ver. ¿Dónde estás, Nora? No te me quedes atrás. Es Samuel Z. Stone, profesor de Economía Latinoamericana y dirige el Instituto Compromiso con la Equidad en la Universidad de Tulane en Nueva Orleans. También es investigadora asociada, no residente del Centro para el Desarrollo Global y el Diálogo Interamericano en Washington, DC. La investigación que actualmente realiza se concentra en valorar el impacto del gasto social y las estructuras tributarias sobre la desigualdad y la pobreza en más de 30 países alrededor del mundo, así como en los determinantes de la distribución del ingreso en América Latina. Asimismo, forma parte de la Comisión para la Medición del Desempeño Económico y el Progreso Social, la llamada Comisión Stiglitz-Sen-Fitoussi,
Commission number 2, I think it is.
Nora Lustig cuenta con un doctorado en Economía por la Universidad de California, Berkeley, y podríamos seguir, creo que por horas, platicando acerca de sus logros, pero nos conviene mejor escuchar lo que nos va a platicar ahorita Nora. Muchas gracias por
Thank you, Nora, for being here with us. Thank you to everyone for staying
Yo
until
decidí hablar desde aquí
late. I
y usar
decided
mi
to speak from
apuntador
here and use my
para
pointer
poder señalar
there
algunas
so
de
that I
las
can just
cosas.
point at some of the
No se
things.
puede bajar más la
Can you lower the screen, because I just don't want to have a problem on my neck, and especially those who are on the first row, but I can see that there is a screen on the lower part. The presentation is in English and I will be speaking in Castilian so that the foreigners will be able to read and understand what is going on.
La idea, lo que me
And so
pidieron,
the
y
idea,
por eso
I've
estaba
been
escribiendo todo el
asked
tiempo
to do
que
some
la gente
things, and
hablaba,
that's why I was
hiciera una
writing all
especie
the
de
time while other
síntesis
people was
de
talking,
cuáles son los
because they asked me
acuerdos,
to
todavía los
do
temas a
a
discusión.
summary of all
Voy
the
a
topics
presentar
to cover.
que a mí me parece son los acuerdos y los
I'm
temas
just
a
going to speak of
discusión
some of
y
the
podemos
agreements and
discutirlos,
topics
porque a
on
lo mejor
discussion,
alguna gente piensa que no
because
lo
maybe
son.
some people
Y
think those topics are not important.
Una cosa interesante
So one of
que
the
me pareció
interesting things I believe
de este
that
evento es que en general cuando yo voy
found
a
to be interesting about
reuniones
this
sobre
event is that when
desigualdad,
I go to
hay
meetings on
mucha más
inequality,
discusión sobre
there is a lot
desigualdad
more on
se está midiendo
debate on what
sobre la
inequality,
variable,
inequality
o sea,
of
horas,
what are we
consumo,
measuring,
ingreso.
income, consumption, wealth,
Muchas horas también sobre
and
el
many
indicador,
hours
si el
on
Gini,
the indicator,
si el
whether
ratio, si
Gini,
el top
ratio,
one,
top
el
one,
tile, hay mucha discusión de ese
and
tipo. Acá
so
nos hemos
forth.
concentrado
Here we've only
principalmente, yo diría,
concentrated
en cuál es
basically
la variable
on
para medir
the
el
variable
bienestar
to
que
measure
queremos,
wellness,
pero sin mucha disputa,
without
hay cierto
really
consenso. Y
elaborating
después donde
much,
fue,
and with a
muy
little bit of
importante, yo creo,
consensus.
lo que
And
hemos
then when I
tenido hoy,
saw that it was important to have
y
here
ayer,
today and
bueno,
yesterday,
¿cuáles son las
to
mejores
come up
fuentes y
with
métodos para
the
medirlo
best
bien?
sources
Ya
and
sabemos que
methods
queremos
to
medir,
measure. We know what we
podemos
want
tener
to
varios
measure.
indicadores,
We can
pero
find
no
several
estamos seguros de cómo
indicators, but we're
medirlo
not
bien, ¿no?
not sure of how to measure it
Yo
well.
resumí la
So
pregunta
I
de este
summarized
evento
the question
en
of
esta
this
pregunta.
event in this
¿Cuáles
other
son las...
question. No,
¿Estoy
bueno, me
hablando muy
van a...
cerca o qué? El micrófono, no puedo caminar, entonces me quedo acá. ¿Cuáles son las variables
So what are
de
the
bienestar,
variable of
fuentes
welfare,
y métodos
sources
que
and methods
tienen mayor probabilidad de
that
producir,
will
no, porque ahora no estoy cerca, una distribución del ingreso, el nivel y su evolución,
the level and the
de manera
evolution,
comparable entre
so that we
países
can compare different
y en
countries
el
across
tiempo, ¿no?
countries and
Acá nos
over the time.
enfocamos
So basically here in Mexico, we really want to measure poverty in Mexico, but we had presentation of what is being done internationally on something that we can compare, and I believe that this is very important because we always want to know how the rest of the world is doing. Regarding variables, I feel that we found consensus in this group. I believe that everyone wants to measure the three variables. There is not a type of fundamentalism where they just want to use one. We want to use the three of them. All three are important to understand the situation of the households in the different countries in the world. I also believe that we reached the conclusion that it is important to measure income before and after taxes and transfers. Also, we decided that it was important. I liked that we took this recommendation very well of incorporating not only expense on in kind, but also how you pay the expense through indirect taxes and subsidies as well. So let me just briefly tell you here how we see this in the context of the project Commitment to Equity, which is now an institute. It's very small, started off in Latin America. It has extended, and now we are over 30, 35 countries in the world, and we had a donation of $5 million from the Gates Foundation so that we can work on the next 5 years, which is something that we're very glad of because it's very difficult to find resources for this type of work. What do we see when we use these four concepts of income? Market income, we add direct transfer minus direct taxes, we get the disposable income that we use to measure inequality practically in all the sources, plus indirect subsidies minus indirect taxes, we get to the consumable income. Richard, this is what you call. And then this is a Canadian term, and it makes sense because imagine someone in a country having an income and then someone in another country has the same income, but their consumption is different, so they can have different taxes to consumption, and what they consume will be different. So consumable income has this advantage, and then plus monetized value of public service. And so with that, we get the final income, which is very similar to what you use in ABCD, but you don't use consumable income. So if we use these four concepts of income, this is what we get. These are 25 countries. I'm not really sure which graph I'm using here, but everything is based on surveys. Nothing is corrected, nothing. So those are surveys from income, market income, disposable income, consumable income, labor income. All surveys. The more unequal country here in this group is South Africa. Without any correction, the market income, Gini, it's not 72 from start, so very unequal, and so that's why it's very difficult to understand what's happening here. But what I wanted to show you today, I was telling you when we were conversing with Horacio, is that in all countries the fiscal policy reduces inequality. In every country, but remember I told you that one of the things why it was important to include what is related to this part, the element that is related to this part, is because fiscal policy can increase poverty. When we use the poverty line of 1.25, that is non-existent because this is something from 2005. The very poor countries, the red bar, it says what happens with the incidence of poverty when we add the effect of indirect taxes and subsidies. So Tanzania, Ghana, Ethiopia, Colombia, and even Guatemala, poverty rises after these taxes. If we leave aside the in-kind transfers, if we only measure that with the effects of direct taxes and direct transfers, everything reduces. So what happens if we rise the line to S250? More countries go to the same situation. When we get to 4, we find the surprise of seeing Brazil, where one of the countries where we say PPPs $4, it goes up, and so poverty goes up. And like I said, Mexico in the results, in the new results that just for which John Scott just worked on, they were reducing always, right? This is only with direct taxes. The green is what happens with the disposable income. You see the graph on change, but apparently I don't really know very well the reforms, but the recent reforms on subsidies has led Mexico with the line of $4 per day has an increase on poverty minus consumable income. Regarding the other element where we have, well, I mean, the consensus are very clear, but there is one element when there is no income. What do we do with pensions? Is this a deferred income? The contributive one, the non-contributing are always seen as transfers, but the contributive ones, contributory pensions could be considered as deferred income. There is always a little part that will always be deferred income. So I know that the Canberra Convention and the ABCD is following, and some other institutions are doing. They just want to be treated as pure government transfer, but I would suggest you to do both ways, as we do, because there is a big debate on this. So given that we still don't know how to estimate the contributive pensions, then we can say, well, these are the two options and these are the extremes. Why is this important? Well, here I have all the countries in development countries for which we have results. We have the US, which is part of our studies, and it's the European Union, 28 countries. Well, minus 1, right? But at that time, it was still 28. Those are the calculations on euro, something that is being done every year to understand what is happening with the redistribution. The blue bars are how much the Gini changes on market income to disposable income. If I suppose that pensions are deferred income, and the red bars, it is if I feel them completely like transfers. If I put them as transfer. In most of the developing countries, the difference isn't really big because pensions are a very small part and social security is a very small part. And also population is relatively young. To the exception of my country of origin, I have two countries, Mexico and Argentina, but my country of origin has an old population, so the situation is different. It's not a great difference. We always say, well, Europe distributes 20 Gini points. Well, it would be if we consider pensions as transfer, but if we consider them to be redistribute income, then it would be less. It would be 11. And it's less than what we imagine, because when we suppose that it's a pure transfer in Europe, all people, elder people that have retired have an income of 0 or almost 0, so they appear as poor. So there is a great distribution. And that's why I suppose, and I propose to see it both ways and to see the impact of it in the estimation of inequality. So the next topic that we discussed on was the sources and the methods for measurement sources. Well, there are
las encuestas de ingreso,
surveys, income surveys, income expenditure surveys, and the most part of the world, Latin America is the only where they only consider the income surveys, but in the rest of the world they have consumption expenditure surveys. So with that, we find complications on the calculations that we want to get and that we still want to do based on the discussion that we had today, and to measure expenditure. And then there are the national accounts, the demographic and health service. No one mentioned it, but they are being used in developing countries. And we have other national accounts, the administrative registries, that can be the tax declaration, and as well the employer reported information on wages in the formal sector and how much they have paid. We really didn't speak much of census, maybe because Mexico is not really relying on that because of the issues that they've been, but we've never mentioned here whether it is a good source of information and comparison. Then I feel that it was important to mention that there is tension. I mean, as an analyst, we're interested in finding the truth. How do we do how to find what is the closest number if what we have is not very reliable? We do thousands of robust tests, so we have an assembly of things, a type of assembly, and so we were able to reduce, but it reduced like this, like that, sometimes it doesn't, and da-da-da. And so this is something that for the policymaker is of no use, because the policymaker needs to have credibility. So if he says, well, this is the margin and this is the range and blah, blah, well, no. And they need accurate information for decision making, whether 20 million or 30 million of poor people, because that depends on the budget that we are going to allocate to tackle poverty or fight poverty. So there are tensions between the desire to make experiences and then the need that we need to be the acceptance of uncertainty versus simplicity and coherence. So we need to continue to say that there is uncertainty and we need to continue with our robust testing. So those who need to take the decision, we can tell them this is your range and this is what would happen if you do this and this is what would happen if you would do this other thing, and that's the only thing that we can do. Now, my obsessions, at least, and I believe it's a little bit the obsession of this group here, is that one of the things, the first thing is inconsistent results across the database from inequality or on inequality at the international level, and there's the inconsistent results across the surveys. So we have surveys bringing about different stories. Then there is inconsistency, that the one is we've really spoken of in this event or seminar, the inconsistency result between surveys and other sources, national account, tax registries, etc. And I believe the biggest problem that we have evoked here, and I don't want to use undersampling because I was convinced that this isn't the best terminology, and given that truncating is not used, and in Argentina we don't use it, and in the rest of the countries they don't use it, to say that something that is not existing, not collecting, the super rich and the ultra rich do not exist in the surveys. And so these are the things that I will be speaking of, and then I would say, well, this is what I believe will be the result of the debate on agreements and things that are yet to be debated. So the first thing is inconsistent results across database. International databases. So this is the paper François Bourguignon referred to yesterday, where we were lucky enough that a group of researchers made some comparisons of the different databases, and people that produce data, some of you are,
hicieron
you participated and you commented on the comments, and it was a very useful exercise, I believe, where we learned a lot from it.
Entonces, ¿dónde vienen las datos?
Where does the data come from, the ones that we see in the international database? Well, some come from micro-based data sets. They come directly from surveys. We have this one that is called CEPALSTAT, and I think the name is different. Has it or not changed? I don't know. And we have the Euromont IDD, which is the income distribution database of the OECD. We have LIS. We have CEPALSTAT uses Javier, this is Teresa, CETLAC, Leo, Tornaroli, and POVCalNet, which is the World Development Indicator from the World Bank. I don't believe anyone sitting in this room uses it here. Sorry, we can't hear what people say, but the World Bank refused for some time to use the data that they produce for Latin America. But they have a convergence now, and so they are using it now. And then we have the data set that uses secondary surveys. For a time where it wasn't easy to do a massive production of data, we were using secondary sources, and the first efforts are very valuable in the 90s. And so that led to the World Inequality Database, or UNU-WIDER, which uses Nino Sarrazua. He was referring to that. We have the Branco-Milanovich, ATG, all the Ginies, and he uses them for the books that he writes. There is the Gini project. I haven't seen it a lot because when we were doing our project, this just came out, and then after, no one touching this. There is a database that is produced with imputation-based data set. I don't know how many of you know of them, but the one that was the reference was SWID, IID, because given that everything is imputed from Ginies, existing Ginies, it produces since 1960 data for 140 countries. It standardizes or puts everything on a rectangle. So if you want to use that, this is heaven. And many of the works made by Robinson and people from the IMF, they use this source, but there are other two. UTIP, which is Jimmy Galbert's one, and this new one, Sanjay in NYU, no, not NYU, Nino School, that use also or try to create series for the different countries on income distribution and consumption distribution. So, what happens here? I mean, we have consistency in very broad terms. I mean, it's not that it is awfully different everywhere, but we cannot use them to understand what happens at a specific point if we don't really know clearly what database could be more loyal, I mean, or that has less contamination of information. So this is going to disappear, what I'm going to introduce to you now. This paper, Bourguignon wrote it when he was comparing CETLAC with, Leo is using it, with Javier, who is using CEPALSTAT. And so there was a large overlap of information, but of course when you looked at the Ginies from ICLAC and the way it was corrected, because it was corrected by the tax declaration and then the declaration, and then just the capital income on the top, only 10% of the distribution, the Gini tend to be bigger in ICLAC than the one in CETLAC. And so this is the average. Now, this is going to disappear, but it seems that it disappears when we really want to have this need of correcting. But I'm not really convinced of this, but this will be, Gerardo will be your next seminar so that we continue with this debate, because I don't think that this debate has ended here, but it just started. And then for the developed countries, there is a lot of overlap. The ABCD and LIS sources list with Teresa, they have practically the same. There are no surprises. And then WDI is from the World Bank. It's also known as BOFCANet, and the ATG, the standardized, the one that is imputed, and the wider that was used by Niño Sarasua. I want to show you some of very strange cases, the case of Indonesia, depending on the source that you use. For instance, if you think that SWIID is right, which is the one that is imputed and has this big change, I don't know how it can affect the regression, but it could, even though you don't use it to analyze what happens in Indonesia. And then also, if you want to compare all the Ginis, which is the Milanovic, you can see the inequality here and the World Bank rises here. So if you were analyzing what happens in Indonesia during the global crisis, you would come up with two very different stories regarding what happened to inequality, depending on the source that you are using. One says it increased and the other one says it decreased. In Kenya, we have the contradictions. Look at Jamaica. I'm just putting here very extreme cases, okay? But so that you realize when we change the sources, and I use this a lot with my students, because when the UN publishes or the World Bank or the IMF publishes something, doesn't necessarily mean that it is true. So compare information with other sources and with the country sources, in-country sources. Go to the in-country sources, if available. And then these were the numbers that paved the way to this special paper. The IMF, for some reason, decided to not use the sources of the World Bank, their neighbors and everything, but they decided to use the SWIID. So everything started because when they were saying Latin America reduced inequality, but not in Africa, it reduced even more. And they were saying, how come? And so the IMF showed that it did not. And so this is World Bank, this is the IMF, and look at the contradiction here. The only case where there is no contradiction is Senegal. Or there is a small difference. There is a difference on direction sometime and on the level of change in the rest of them. So what to do with this? These are my conclusions, because this is something that we did not debate here in this seminar. So this is open for reflection or food for thought. So the preference for the group that called for this analysis was that it's better to use micro-database sources because they exist. Why do you want to use secondary sources? And the imputed should be treated very carefully. And the other one was not to adjust the sources for underreporting, for the comparison. And then some other things are important to check, just to see how much it is done to including auto-consumption and imputed owners occupied rent. Mil, where are you? Well, we shouldn't impute the rent of the property because it's not a level of welfare. But think about people that have exactly the same income. One doesn't have to pay anything because they own their house, and the other needs to pay 30 to 40% of their income in rent. So the welfare levels obviously will be very different. And one of the variables that we have to try to get is service as part of the definition of welfare. The treatment of no response, this is interesting because we see that Mexico is the only one that is not imputing the item non-response, which is a general practice, and maybe it would be useful or convenient that Mexico adopts it to have homogeneous definition of household. And then instead of fighting and saying there is a very strong critique on the surveys in Latin America. So the trend is that you should only see consumption And then I say, no, you need to take two, income and consumption, and maybe eventually, hopefully, wealth. And then on the debate, we debate whether per capita and equivalize, and how do you say it in Spanish? Equivalize, okay. And I always propose to show both. And in the case of adjusting for spatial price differences between the regions, ICLAC does it automatically, and not many people know that you add 50% of the income in the rural sectors. I would recommend that you do both, because some don't do it, then you show what happens if you don't show this adjustment, and it would be important.
Second subject, inconsistencies in results by using different sources. And I don't know why something was erased from that, but it used to say U.S. poverty, the Johnson chart. How poverty is changing in the U.S. according to sources. You can have very different results according to your source data. And so that's why they decided to use the consumer population. What is the name of that?
The CPS is the
CPS?
The Current Population Survey.
Current Population Survey.
Y el TRIM, que es ahora una nueva versión.
Which is the new
Pero
version of that.
si usaran las otras fuentes,
but if they use other sources, then they would have a very different type of poverty
de eso
estimation.
no tengo nada que decir, no sé.
I have nothing to say about that.
Una decisión que se tiene que hacer en función de para qué fueron diseñadas las encuestas.
It depends on the purpose of the
Es un
design.
tema que tampoco lo tratamos, ¿no?
And this is something that we didn't discuss.
Luego, las inconsistencias entre encuestas y otras fuentes, como cuentas nacionales y registros administrativos. El problema es de que, bueno, los totales no se parecen, pero no es solamente el problema que no se parecen, sino que en algunos casos no se parecen mucho. La divergencia de los totales es muy grande. Y el otro problema es que esta divergencia cambia en el tiempo. Entonces, no se puede suponer que ni siquiera las tendencias sean iguales si esto ocurre, ¿no? La diferencia puede ser enorme, entonces acá ilustro con México.
This is the example I presented from Mexico. Most of the people found that
ingreso de los hogares en la
household income in the survey was of 40%, and in national accounts was different. Fernando Cortés reached a 34%, right?
O sea que es todavía más grande.
So it's even larger.
Diferencia.
The difference is even larger.
Luego, los trabajadores formales en la base de INEGI 2012,
in the INEGI 2012
eso es algo que está trabajando Facundo.
Facundo is working on that. That's between 13 and 18 million. 13 if you use Social Security record, 16 if it's
utilizando algún servicio de salud,
some other health service record from the formal sector, and the administrative record 24 million. Another big gap that has to be figured out.
Bueno, aquí ven diferencias en diferentes países.
Different countries,
y claro, México
present different
El
adjusted disposable
verde
income flows.
es lo que
Mexico
no
is
se explica,
outstanding.
¿no?
The green is what cannot be explained.
Esto es lo que ustedes corrigen en la
That is
OECD
what you
para
correct
que
at
los
OECD
totales de
so that
cuentas sean
the
iguales
total
a la de las
of the
encuestas.
accounts
Y
equal
bueno, entonces se ve que hay países en
So
donde a lo
in
mejor las
certain
diferencias no
countries
son muy
the
grandes, son
differences are
parecidas.
not that
Esto
big.
es Israel.
This is Israel. Israel is a perfect match.
Habrá que preguntarles qué hacen.
We should ask them what they do.
Y
How do they
Eslovenia,
correct
Suecia,
Slovenia,
Estados Unidos,
Sweden,
poquito más grande,
US,
pero,
Portugal is a bit
México, no sé qué
larger.
pasa
Mexico, I don't
en-
know what's going
Corea.
on with
Turquía,
Korea.
usted también es
Turkey.
miembro, ¿no? De la,
Turkey is another member.
¿es miembro?
Is it member of OECD? We cannot hear the comment.
Ok. Bueno, entonces, esto se los muestro con mucho énfasis porque
I
es lo que
emphasize
a
all of
mí
this
me
because
hace
this is
tomar
what is
cautela en
making
los
me
procesos de
feel
corrección.
very cautious
Tenemos
while
mucho de lo
correcting.
que no sabemos
There
todavía.
are many things that are
Entonces,
unknown to us.
tenemos que tratarlo con cautela.
So we have to
Y lo mismo pasa con
tread
consumo, por cierto,
carefully.
no es
And the same thing with
solamente para
consumption.
ingreso, ¿no?
It is not only for income.
No se acuerdan, esta es la gráfica, la tabla que mostró
This is
François,
the
en
chart
donde
François
muestra las
presented where he
discrepancias que hay
spoke of the differences
entre los
between
surveys y las cuentas
surveys and
nacionales
national
y cómo
accounts
esta va variando en el
and
tiempo
how this
usando a
varies
Chile.
throughout time.
Yo hablo
Chile
del
is the
problema de las
example
dos
we use. I
economías.
speak of the problem of
Sinceramente,
the two
tenemos
economies.
una economía
Quite
cuando usamos
honestly,
encuestas y
there's one
tenemos otra
economy
economía cuando
reflected when you
miramos
use
cuentas nacionales. ¿Y cómo las vamos a...? Porque no es nada más el problema de los ingresos, también vamos a tener problemas en asignar montos a cuánto hay de transferencias, cuánto hay impuestos, cuánto hay impuestos indirectos, cómo valorar cada uno de los elementos componentes de la política fiscal. Bueno, entonces la pregunta, yo no llegué a un consenso en esto, no creo que haya un acuerdo. Hubo un gran acuerdo en este día entre las personas que estaban presentando los resultados para México, pero ayer en realidad la postura fue casi la opuesta. En las presentaciones que hicieron los que están manejando las bases de datos internacionales, de que mejor por ahora no. Con excepción de la OECD, que lo está haciendo en este proyecto de tratar de reconciliar, pero creo que estarían de acuerdo todos que tenemos que definir con claridad en qué momento un país está listo para eso, para poder decir este dato es el que tenemos que utilizar. Y después, bueno, ¿contra qué totales vamos a...? Por ejemplo, yo no me había dado cuenta hasta que ayer mencionó que DINA, que es el enfoque de Piketty para crear los Distribution National Accounts, utiliza ingreso nacional en lugar de ingreso de los hogares que incluyó la OECD. Habría que ver por qué decidieron hacer eso, pero obviamente cambia también los resultados. Después, ¿qué conceptos de ingreso hay que generar? Acá nuevamente insisto que es importante no llegar solo hasta disponible, pero también hasta consumible final, y tratar a los ingresos de mercado en sus dos versiones, con las pensiones como transferencia y las pensiones como pero esas son cosas para comentar. Bueno, ahora, ¿qué hacemos con la cuestión de la ausencia de lo que pasa en el tope, ya sea porque no están los ricos, porque si están no contestan, o si contestan dicen menos, ¿no? De lo que los que empezaron a trabajar esto son sinceramente el grupo de Atkinson, Piketty, Saez, hace muchos años. En el año 2005 ya existía su página llamada Top Incomes, pero no era muy conocida. Yo me acuerdo que yo siempre presentaba esos resultados y prácticamente nadie se enfocaba a eso. Ha habido un cambio radical en términos de la importancia que se le ha dado al tema del ingreso tope. En parte yo creo que es generada, bueno, Piketty obviamente con su libro generó mucho interés, pero empezó antes cuando se empiezan a ver resultados que la gente ya no los cree, ¿no? Eso es lo que lleva a este proceso, ¿no? Y ahora tienen esta nueva base de datos que es la base, creo que es WWID, la World Income Database, donde están recogiendo la información y van a ir generando las DINAs, que a ti, Valentín, te interesa. Pero le estaba comentando a Miguel que ellos sí tratan de generar toda la distribución, y el paper que hicieron Alvaredo, Londoño, que hicieron para el Instituto de Tulane, sí mide toda la distribución, calculan Gini's antes de ajustar y después de ajustar y en el tiempo, ¿no? Entonces eso lo tratan de hacer para la mayor parte de los países que pueden. Bueno, que yo creo que estamos todos de acuerdo en que es importantísimo que hagamos algo para ver cómo corregimos por la ausencia de los ricos, su falta de respuesta o su declaración. Y también creo que, no hablamos mucho de esto, pero la presentación de Gerardo estaba enfocada a decir, bueno, también tenemos que trabajar on the ground, a nivel de dónde se recogen los datos, que es mejorar cómo se recoge la información que empieza en el proceso de entrevista, ¿no? Entonces, ahí yo creo que le hemos dado poca importancia y probablemente es fundamental en muchos sentidos. Yo no sé si eso nos va a ayudar a medir el tope, pero definitivamente nos va a ayudar a medir mejor el resto de la distribución, ¿no? Entonces, eso hay que seguirlo haciendo, ¿no? Ahora, cuando nosotros queremos, no me quedó claro una cosa, lo dejo aquí para ustedes, si hay preguntas y respuestas no lo pueden comentar. Los que están haciendo las correcciones, todos, que hoy mostraron, si tuvieran acceso a los datos de impuestos, ya sea las declaraciones, lo que reportan las empresas, ¿seguirían prefiriendo usar las cuentas nacionales o harían más lo que comentaba ayer François, de decir, yo digo, esta parte que está todo en mis declaraciones impositivas, se la asigna a ciertas porciones de la distribución. En el caso de que Jenkins para Inglaterra hizo varias hipótesis, se lo asigna al 5% más alto, al 10% más alto. O digo, mi encuesta llega hasta el punto 99 y se lo asigno todo al 1% más alto. Si hubieran tenido la opción de tener acceso a esos datos, ¿hubieran preferido hacerlo con esos datos o hubieran seguido la pauta que siguieron hasta ahora? Se lo pregunto, porque no me quedó claro. Yo, ahora, como desde donde yo estoy, preferiría tratar de seguir trabajando con información que existe a nivel microdatos. Las cuentas nacionales son agregados, aunque sean agregados por fuente. Ya algo desagregados son agregados. Entonces, y yo tengo acceso a los microdatos de impuestos, me gustaría usarlo. Tengo acceso a los microdatos de lo que reportan las empresas, me gustaría usarlo. E ir construyendo desde la encuesta hacia arriba. Ahora, ¿qué va a pasar? Aun cuando, digamos, no están necesariamente disponibles, afortunadamente se ha creado una oleada de mayor disponibilidad. Es el efecto Piketty, porque como se volvió una celebridad de los países que quieren gracias a él. Y qué bueno, pero sí, como dijo alguien que no sé si aquí, sería bueno que fuera generalizado eso. Pero aún así, hay una diferencia entre lo que aparece como agregados totales que vienen de fuentes administrativas y el total de cuentas. Sabemos que hay ilusión y evasión. Entonces, ¿qué hacemos para corregir esa parte? Ahí donde yo creo que sí nos tenemos que empezar a mover al uso de cuentas y a la lista de Forbes y a donde se pueda, porque yo, por ejemplo, no sé si mirar a la información que hay sobre la cantidad de capitales que está en diferentes paraísos fiscales, si nos podría ayudar a ver algo de eso, ¿no? El libro de Zuckman es el que miró dónde está concentrado ese capital y a lo mejor puede ayudar también para eso. Y muy importante, y eso yo creo que no se enfatizó hoy, pero todo el mundo creo que está de acuerdo que sería muy importante tener la información con identificadores que permiten cruzar información. Entonces, que la persona que en la encuesta de hogares aparece con el numerito 12, yo sé que paga impuestos, es el número 12 en mi fuente de microdatos de impuestos y es el número 12 en cuando si es un subordinado, que es lo que reporta el empleador de lo que ganó y lo que pagó de impuestos. Eso, al parecer, solo está ocurriendo en Estados Unidos y en los países nórdicos, porque en Inglaterra nos comentaron de que todavía no. Así que no es algo generalizado, es muy limitado en cuanto ocurre eso. Pero hacia ahí debemos de ir, ¿no? Después, ¿qué es lo que está bajo discusión? Vimos, y digo está bajo discusión porque vi que la gente hizo cuestiones diferentes y yo no tengo en este momento tampoco una posición, estoy reflejando lo que estaba aquí. Alguna gente no le gusta corregir la subdeclaración, llamemos a todo subdeclaración, los ricos no están, o dicen que tienen menos o no contestan. ¿Cómo corregimos? Por eso algunas de las personas creen firmemente que hay que hacerlo siempre por fuente y otras personas están suficientemente contentas de hacerlo en agregado con diferentes modelos, ¿no? de aproximación. ¿Cuáles totales hay que usar? Yo creo que sí, eventualmente lo ideal va a ser poder usar los totales de cuentas nacionales como control cuando ya estemos seguros de que estamos midiendo la economía que queremos medir. Y ahora, como si yo veo diferentes, si yo vengo de Marte y veo que encuestas me dicen que la economía tiene este tamaño y las cuentas me dicen que tiene este otro, ¿por qué creer uno más que el otro? No sé, o sea, no lo sé. si hay una razón fundamental para eso, entonces hay que argumentarla. Yo no la escuché en las presentaciones, pero entiendo que esa es la única fuente que tenemos si no tenemos acceso a los datos administrativos, ¿no? Y creo que tampoco entonces donde todavía hay gran discusión es cuál es la mejor manera de corregir para tener toda la distribución. Vimos que tanto yo de eso no sé, de las betas, las gamas, que estaban comentando hoy, pero hay muchos mecanismos, pero sí está claro que lo que decía Valentín, si nosotros tenemos una distribución que viene de la encuesta y los datos administrativos nos ponen información que puede ser que se traslape con la encuesta, puede ser que se añada, pero que tiene a la gente con un ingreso, con una frecuencia superior al nivel de ingreso alto. Vamos a tener que achatarla en algún otro lado, así tiene que modificar toda la distribución, si las incluimos. Y ese mecanismo es un mecanismo muy complicado, porque se tiene que hacer supuestos basados en conjeturas. No sabemos dónde hacer estos apretones. Idealmente, Estados Unidos sería el modelo para checar, porque es el único caso donde ahora tenemos las IDs para ver, para, por ejemplo, probar diferentes modelos y ver si nos replican, ¿no?, de manera adecuada. Parece ser que Uruguay tiene esa posibilidad también. Estamos investigando con la gente de la Universidad de la República. Bueno, y después está, entonces, dada toda esta situación, ¿qué hacemos? Seguimos tratando de integrar toda la información. Yo creo que aquí la mayoría sí quiere eso, por lo que vi de las presentaciones. Y después está la visión de hacer un tablero de control. Yo creo que siempre pienso que cuando no estamos seguros siempre es mejor hacer las dos cosas. Entonces, se puede integrar y también tener el tablero de control. Y a ver qué pasa si mi historia es coherente, tanto con el tablero de control y con el integrado. Y si no lo es, entonces me tengo que poner a investigar por qué no lo es, hasta que entienda por qué no lo es. Mientras no entiendo por qué no lo es, no puedo decir con firmeza una cosa u otra. Bueno, ¿qué pasó hoy con lo que yo estaba tratando de hacer una síntesis también? Lo que está en rojo no es que esté mal, sino es que no tengo yo la información, no estoy segura, y no hubo oportunidad de confirmar las preguntas, pero creo que esto sería bueno tenerlo como parte de la memoria para que vean cuáles son los resultados que aparecen en todos estos ejercicios de corrección. Y lo que está clarísimo es que sube muchísimo el Gini, de alrededor 0.4548 a 0.6 hasta 0.7. Lo que no está claro es no en todos los casos la tendencia de la desigualdad cambia, ¿no? No me acuerdo qué dijo Miguel Niño, si quedaba constante o no. Eso me quedó brutal, no sé si alguien, que bajaba. Okay. Entonces hay dos que dicen que baja, que creo que Bustos y Niño, y los demás dicen que sube. Y hay dos que no dijeron nada, que creo que Valentín y Miguel, porque no lo tienen en el tiempo, ¿no? Son datos de un momento en el tiempo hasta ahora, ¿correcto? Entonces, este es el resultado que viene de las presentaciones de hoy. Gerardo ya me dijo que su Gini es como 0.6 o algo para uno de los años en que lo calculó, porque me faltaba ahí, pero después los agregamos, ¿no? Ese es el resultado de esa conferencia. Pero para volver al entonces, digamos, nosotros tendríamos estos resultados. Bueno, cuando se pueda tener acceso a toda la información administrativa, entonces a lo mejor sería muy interesante hacer también el tablero de control. ¿Qué pasa con la encuesta? ¿Qué me dicen los datos administrativos? Veo si puedo integrar algunas cosas de manera sencilla. Esto viene de François, esta es la recomendación de él. Y usar las cuentas nacionales como consistency check. Le doy un caso que se lo he contado a varios de ustedes. Cuando
tell you a
pasó la
story.
crisis
When
en México en los
the
80,
crisis of the 1980s in
todo
Mexico
el mundo
took
esperaba que
place,
la
everybody
pobreza
was
hubiera
waiting
subido,
for
¿no es
poverty
cierto?
to have
Bajaron los
increased
salarios en
because
40%,
wages were reduced by
bajaron
40%,
el consumo bajó en
consumption
12%,
was decreased by
los
12%,
términos de intercambio de la agricultura empeoraron,
exchange terms for
y de repente
agriculture
sale la encuesta del
got worse, and
89
then
y
you
sale
get
que
the
la pobreza
89
cayó.
surveys. It says that
Entre
poverty
84
dropped
y
between
89.
84 and
No sé
89.
cuánto, a lo mejor ustedes eran muy chiquitos.
You were
algunos, porque
babies, you must not
no lo
remember
sabía.
those figures,
Entonces
because you
ahí
didn't know
uno
this,
dice, no,
but
esto no checa,
you
porque
wonder why
todos los demás datos
the
del
rest of
contexto
the
económico me
data in the
decían lo
economic
contrario.
context were pointing to
Entonces
the
obviamente hay un
opposite.
problema con la encuesta.
the survey
Entonces
must be
utilizar el contexto para ver
Using
si
the
tiene
context
sentido
is your
es muy
calibration,
importante, ¿no?
and it is really
Eso,
important.
este sería, digamos, la recomendación.
That is the
Tratar de
recommendation.
seguir haciendo
Try
integración,
to
pero
keep on
también tener el
integrating and at
tablero
the
de
same time
control.
keep a dashboard.
El mensaje final
The
para
final
mí
message
es
to
la
me
importancia
is
de la transparencia, que aquí
transparency is
debemos de
of the
felicitar
utmost
realmente al
importance, and
INEGI,
we
que está
must
haciendo un
applaud
esfuerzo por
INEGI because they're really making an
realmente,
effort to make
realmente
the
moverse
processes
hacia tratar de
transparent,
ser
or as transparent as
lo más
possible.
transparente posible, porque no pasa eso en muchos
This is not
países.
something that other countries are doing.
Leo puede contarles los
You can
horrores
tell you the horrors
que han pasado en la Argentina,
of
que ahora
Argentina.
van a tener que tirar una serie porque no se sabe si
A whole series will have to be
cambiaron los
thrown to the
ponderadores
wastebasket
de la
because
encuesta, ¿no?
the weight factors were
Este,
changed in the survey.
Y en principio es una muy buena punto de partida
So
para
this is a very good starting
tratar de
point for us to
elucidar
try
qué es lo
to
que
figure
pasa.
out
Si
what
no hay
happens
transparencia de
if there's
parte de
no
los que tienen
transparency.
la información, entonces es
then,
imposible, ¿no?
what
La
do you
gente
do?
no puede empezar
It's
a juntar esta
impossible
información
to
encuestas
compile
solitos. Pero falta la
information,
transparencia
but
de
then
Hacienda,
You also need a Minister of Finance who is also
porque no
transparent.
está dispuesto a
The
compartir los
Treasury, if they're
datos
not willing to
de
share,
la parte impositiva. Entonces, ese es el lado
taxation
donde hay que
data,
insistir.
we need to keep on insisting.
No sé muy bien a través de qué mecanismos
And I do not
legales,
know which is the legal mechanisms
no
for
sé
us
dónde
to exert pressure on that. Gerardo, is he here?
Entonces, porque con él hemos comentado, a ver si a través de las leyes
We
que se están
frequently
discutiendo
have
ahora
that
se puede
discussion
hacer.
if we
La
should
segunda
lobby
cosa es que
for
yo
the
creo que hay que
current
aceptar la
laws that being
incertidumbre,
reformed.
porque no
Another point is that
necesariamente
we need
vamos a
to
tener
accept uncertainty.
la firmeza. La
We'll never have
tercera está
certainties.
asociada a la transparencia,
And
que es
thirdly, it is
garantizar
also
el
related to
acceso de manera
transparency. Access to
permanente.
information has to be
Y
permanently
la cuarta, yo
guaranteed.
creo
And the
que
fourth
hay
one,
que, digamos, dada esa enorme
due to
discrepancia,
the
que es
enormous
incluso más grande que en otros
differences,
países de
that's
América
even
Latina,
bigger than in other
entre los
Latin
datos de las
countries,
encuestas
the
y los
differences
de
between
cuentas,
surveys
valdría
and
la pena
accounts.
hacer un módulo
It
de
might be
investigación
important
dentro
for
del
us
INEGI
to have a
para
module of
tratar de
research
elucidar
within
qué puede
INEGI
estar ahí, ¿no?
to
detrás.
investigate
Porque
what's
si no, sí va a ser siempre
behind
muy
everything,
complicado
because if
el
not,
ver
it
cómo
will always be
podemos
very
integrar las
complicated
dos
to see
fuentes.
how
Yo
to
aquí
integrate
termino,
both
muchas
sources.
gracias.
And with that, I
¿Cuánto me
conclude.
pasé?
Thank you very much.
Damos unos minutos para preguntas, ¿te parece bien? Si les parece bien, nos tomamos
Okay.
unos minutos para preguntas, porque Nora nos planteó preguntas
going
ahora,
to give
entonces hay que
some
responderle a Nora.
minutes to questions.
Y posiblemente
We
algunas
haven't
preguntas que
asked any
ustedes
questions and
tengan
probably
para
we
Nora, les pido por favor
want to
ser
do
muy
so.
breves
So
en
please
sus
be very brief
intervenciones,
on your
porque ya estamos
intervention
muy por
because
encima
we're
del
running
tiempo.
out of time. Actually, we're over the
Identificarse
allocated time,
y
so
hacer su
please
comentario, por
identify
favor.
yourself and ask your question or
¿Alguien
make your
dice yo?
comment. Does anyone want to start?
La pregunta que yo les había hecho era
The
si
question
tuvieran
I'd
la
ask
opción de
you
tener acceso
is
a los
if you had
datos
access to data,
administrativos, querrían
administrative
usarlos
data, would you
antes
like
de
to use
hacer
them
los
before
otros ajustes.
doing any adjustment? Anyone
Gerardo, yo
wants
sé
to
que sí.
respond to that? I know Gerardo
pero
will
no sé
definitely
los
do
demás.
that, but what about the others?
Gustaría primero los datos
I would
administrativos y los
definitely
datos
use
de
them
las encuestas
first
directamente,
and from the surveys
porque todo
directly,
lo demás es
because the rest is
demasiadas
just
hipótesis.
a lot of hypotheses.
Ok. Bueno. Miguel.
What about you, Miguel?
Sí, para el caso de nosotros
In the
también,
case
porque
of,
nosotros
in our
usamos
case, it would
ingreso
be the same
primario y luego
because we
ingreso
use
secundario.
primary income
En
and
la
then
parte de ingreso
secondary
secundario es
income.
más
In
bien la
that
incidencia
part,
impositiva. Nos quedamos solamente
the
en el
incidence is
impuesto sobre la
positive
renta.
and we keep only
Y una de
the
las tareas
the
pendientes es
VAT,
llegar
and so
precisamente
one
a
of
la
our
incidencia, o sea, cómo
homeworks
pega lo
are
que sería el
to
impuesto al
see
consumo
how
y el
the
impuesto, por ejemplo,
tax
sobre
and
productos y
consumption would
servicios.
affect and
Pero
tax
la
on
información que
products and
tuvimos de
services, but
2010
the
era
information that we
solamente la
got in
incidencia
2010,
impositiva,
it was
por
only
decirles de,
the
digamos,
impositive
Por
incidence
decirlo,
from from household, for instance. And if we had a more detailed information, maybe we can get a better approach. Now, I still think that even though we had fiscal information, as opposed to other countries, this 1% which is richer maybe could just not appear on the fiscal registry because maybe they're not paying what they should. So I would be very careful with that information. I would definitely love to know the administrative data, but I would continue with the survey. I believe the survey gives information to know many aspects, many more aspects that will not give you the administrative records. No, the question wasn't a survey versus administrative, but the correction of the survey. Would you do them first with the administrative data? No, I would still continue with national accounts. I insist because there are some aspects, detailed aspects I was not able to present regarding the correction with taxes. Not only the ones that were mentioned about evasion. I'm not an expert on taxes, but I don't know how much, and I don't know the figures that were delivered, but the stock action gain, is there any tax? Is it taxable? Do we pay for that in Mexico? I mean, many taxes are not paid in Mexico, and in the case of the business at home or households, they say that they increase now with the change on the repecos as they're known in Mexico. I have my questions. I guess he's referring to small, medium companies. And so they were out of the fiscal part. And so I would maybe think twice that these are data for per adult, not per family. So I feel that we're making this leap very quickly, and we think that mathematics purifies everything. Completely right. Do you have questions? I mean, I gave you one question. I asked one question, but I do. I have a position on that. It is as follows. François, in his presentation yesterday, was talking. Well, we're going to try to have in front of us the available sources and to use each one of them, use only the aspects that will be the most useful to understand their limitations, and I thought that was very good. And even the approach that we have developed in INEGI is a good one, that has the idea that if we have informative elements of these on the survey, on the tax registration ministry, or so maybe if we feel that it will help us better understand the reality, we need to incorporate it in a smart way. I mean, what I take away from what François said yesterday is that we need to know until when I can really leverage, exploit, understand the value of a source of information. I need to understand the limits, and we have options on how to do that, but we do not have to get rid of elements that are very valuable, that are there, and that add to our understanding of the reality, provided that we have a reasonable understanding of their scope and limitations. So maybe you'll be in favor on using the table, of course. I want to thank you for your observations, and I want to seize this opportunity and give this general comment that the meeting has been very fruitful because we were able to propose alternatives to the measurement of the distribution of the income and the inequality, and it is clear to me that INEGI is doing its best effort to improve and enhance the captation tools, and with that same intention or intent, the academia can contribute ideas to this, and so get out of just using one source, and so that we can come up with improvements, and improvements can come from academia, and I believe that together we can do something that is better and work together on that. That's the only thing I wanted to say. That's why you are all here, right? Well, a round of applause to our professor, Nora Lustig.